Did you know the story of Samson has more hidden secrets? Welcome back, Bible Story Explorers. Hey, have you blessed someone today? Bless me today by subscribing to my channel and help me reach my goal. Today, we're diving into one of the most powerful, dramatic, and surprising stories in the Bible. A story full of strength, secrets, mistakes, and one unforgettable ending. Get ready to meet Samson, the strongest hero you've never heard like this before. Samson's story began before he is born, with silence, longing, and divine interruption. In the hill country of Israel, during a time when the nation had no king and lived under Philistine domination, there lived a man named Manoah and his wife. They were childless. In the ancient world, barrenness carried social weight, quiet shame, and unspoken grief. One day, an angel of the Lord appeared to Manoah's wife and announced something extraordinary. She would conceive and give birth to a son who would be set apart for God from the womb. He would begin the deliverance of Israel from the Philistines. This child would live under a Nazirite vow, a sacred consecration that forbade cutting his hair, drinking wine, or touching anything dead. The vow symbolized separation unto God, not personal holiness earned by strength, but dependence on divine purpose. Samson was born into destiny. From early adulthood, it became clear that Samson possessed unnatural strength that surged upon him suddenly, without training or warning. Scripture describes it as the Spirit of the Lord rushing upon him. His power was not constant. It was momentary, situational, and purposeful. The first recorded manifestation of this strength occurred on a road near Timnah, where Samson encountered a young lion. With no weapon and no preparation, he tore the animal apart with his bare hands. He did not tell anyone what happened, a pattern that would define much of his life. Samson was strong, but inwardly solitary. Later, Samson returned to the site of the lion's death and found something unsettling. Bees had built a hive inside the carcass, producing honey. He ate from it and shared it with his parents, without telling them its source. This moment is significant. The Nazirite vow forbade contact with dead bodies. Long before his hair was cut, Samson had already begun violating the covenant that set him apart. Samson's battles with the Philistines escalated through personal conflict rather than organized war. His marriage to a Philistine woman triggered a chain of betrayals, retaliation, and violence. At his wedding feast, Samson posed a riddle drawn from his encounter with the lion, the only riddle recorded in Scripture. When his wife was coerced into revealing the answer, Samson responded with lethal force, killing 30 men to pay his debt. What followed was a cycle of revenge. Fields burned, lives lost, and tensions sharpened. Samson did not lead Israel as a general. He functioned as a solitary disruptor, unpredictable, emotionally driven, and fiercely independent. One of the most striking moments of his career occurred when he was bound and handed over to the Philistines by his own people, who feared the consequences of his actions. When the Philistines approached, the Spirit of the Lord came upon Samson, the ropes fell from his arms, and he seized the jawbone of a donkey. With it, he killed 1,000 men. Afterward, Samson collapsed from exhaustion and thirst. The same man who could overpower armies was completely dependent on God for survival. God answered his cry and provided water, reinforcing a recurring truth. Samson's strength was never self-sustaining. Despite these divine interventions, Samson's personal life grew increasingly compromised. He pursued relationships without discernment, repeatedly entangling himself with those aligned against him. Delilah entered his life, not as a sudden betrayal, but as a slow erosion. The Philistine leaders offered her wealth in exchange for discovering the source of Samson's strength. She pressed him persistently, and over time, Samson began to toy with the truth, offering partial lies, false explanations, and evasions. Each time, Delilah tested his words, and each time he escaped. But eventually, emotional fatigue overcame spiritual vigilance. Samson revealed the truth. His strength was bound to his Nazirite vow, symbolized by his uncut hair. The hair itself was not magical. It was the visible sign of his covenant with God. By surrendering it, Samson surrendered his separation. While he slept, Delilah arranged for his hair to be cut. When Samson awoke, he attempted to rise as before, unaware that the presence empowering him had withdrawn. This moment marks the most tragic line in his story. He did not know that the Lord had left him. The Philistines seized him, blinded him, and imprisoned him. The man who once moved freely now ground grain like a slave. Strength had given way to darkness, humiliation, and silence. Yet in that silence, something began to change. As Samson labored in captivity, his hair began to grow again. More importantly, his dependence returned. Scripture does not record speeches or resistance, only time, waiting, and inward reckoning. During a Philistine celebration in the temple of Dagon, Samson was brought out to entertain the crowd. Thousands gathered, mocking him, crediting their god for his downfall. Blind and weakened, Samson asked to be positioned between the central pillars supporting the structure. Then, for the first time in the narrative, Samson prayed a prayer that was not impulsive, not reactive, but deliberate. He asked God to remember him and grant strength one final time. God answered. Samson pushed against the pillars, collapsing the temple and killing more Philistines in his death than he had during his entire life. In that final act, he fulfilled the purpose spoken before his birth. He struck a decisive blow against Israel's oppressors. Samson's story is not a celebration of physical power. It is a study of divine calling carried by a flawed vessel. His strength exposed enemies, but his weakness exposed himself. His downfall came not from battle, but from gradual compromise. Yet his life also demonstrates that failure does not erase purpose. Even at the end, blind, broken, and humbled, Samson's destiny was not revoked. His strength was never in his hair. It was in the presence he once carried lightly and later learned to depend on fully. Samson remains one of the most complex figures in biblical history, a judge who never ruled, a warrior who fought alone, and a man whose greatest victory came after his greatest failure. God still listens when we turn back to him. True strength comes from God, not muscles. Wow, what a story. If you enjoyed exploring Samson's journey, hit that like button, share this video with a friend, and subscribe for more epic Bible adventures. Until next time.